Hey, welcome back to another Pancho Things. Today we're going to be talking about some guitar tips, what I consider are the 5 more overlooked tips. Either you're learning guitar or you're an intermediate player looking to improve the guitar technique. So let's get at it. So as I was cleaning my studio today, I found my folders where I got all the papers when I used to teach lessons, and I found some interesting writings that I have in there and what I consider are overlooked aspects of learning the guitar. So let's start with the first one. Identifying your strumming, identifying how strong do you strum, identifying if you have a heavy hand or a weak hand. That it will apply to either acoustic or electric guitar. Now, one thing that I noticed is that a lot of people don't pay attention to how much do they strum and how well do they strum softly, or they just strum with a heavy hand. Either way is fine. Identifying that will help you with your dynamics. We all know that the stronger that you're going to play, the more dynamics you're going to have. The softer, the less dynamics you're going to have. Now, that being said, when we're working on an electric guitar, we have the pickups. And the pickups, there is so much dynamics that those pickups are gonna be able to capture. So it gets to a point that the more that you strum it heavily, it don't matter how harder you can go, the dynamics is gonna reach a plateau, and that's as far as you're gonna go when it comes to that. So identifying how well do you, if you're a soft strummer, me personally, I'm a soft strummer. If you're a soft strummer or a heavy strummer, will help you improve your techniques, how you're going to practice things, and it will also help you with tip number 2, which is your pick, which is tip number 2, which will be your guitar pick. I've seen a lot of people using the same pick because they feel comfortable or they like it or it looks nice. Now, different thickness, different materials, different shapes of the pick, depending on how your hand works, will give you different tonalities and different dynamic ranges within the guitar. So, for example, me as a soft picker, I kind of gravitate to have heavier picks. I normally use 1 millimeter or so. Sometimes I go a little bit higher on that, sometimes a little bit lower. Now, what I notice is, if I'm playing a guitar where I need some detailed work, but that I have a lot of attack, having a pick that is thick enough will get me there quickly and with a nice tone. Now, I also realized that when I used a softer pick, my attack was lower and the tone actually changed for the type of strings that I use. It feels that the string loses a lot of life and a lot of tension. So try different picks. Tip number 1, identify how strong your hand is. Tip number 2, depending on if your hand is soft, try a heavy pick. If your strumming is heavy, try a lighter pick and see the difference on tonality and the difference that different materials on picks and different shapes will give you, not only for speed comfort, but also to how accurate you're going to be able to hit those notes. My tip number 3, not all strings are the same. Not all cheap strings are bad. Not all expensive strings are great. Check your strings, try them. There's going to be different allegations of metals that they do the strings, and we're not going to get into brands and all this plethora. That will be for another video. We can talk about that. But always take a look on your strings and analyze your hand strumming, the pick that you're using, the strings that you're using. If you're looking to acquire a different tone, maybe your response is not going to be on the guitar. Maybe the only answer is not only going to be on the amplifier. It could also be a combination of all of this, a combination of your hand, combination of your pick, combination of your strings. So all those three tips already are going to make a whole world of difference. Once you understand how you strum and you adapt the pick, that will actually make your job easier and achieve the tone that you're looking for, and find the quality strings that actually give you the brightness or the high-end frequencies or the low-end frequencies that you're looking for. That all three of those combined will make your practicing and your learning a little bit easier. Now, tip number 4. Always keep in mind the condition of your guitar, your string height, the pickup height, the neck adjustments, all this stuff. If you're trying to practice scales and your neck is bowed and you have a lot of depth and your strings are really high, your practice is going to be really difficult, and perhaps your learning process is going to be way difficult and way harder, because at this point you're having to put so much pressure in order to learn what you need to learn. So always keep an eye on your instrument. Always check, is everything tied up? Is the neck straight enough for me to work? Is it making my work simpler? Is it making it harder? Always check your pickups, the height of your pickups, the conditions of your strings. All this stuff also matters when it comes to learning the guitar. Now, when you are a beginner, there's a lot of things that you don't know, and I will suggest to start looking at crucial points on your instrument that you always got to be aware of. Connections, electronics, in the case of electric guitars, everything. Take a look on your guitar and find all those aspects. Sometimes you will find a vibration in your guitar and you're like, start messing around with your pickups and start messing with pretty much everything, soon to realize that is one of your tuning machines are loose, and then now at this point you wasted so much time trying to figure out what was going on. And it might be something as simple as tightening up your tuning machines. So always keep your instrument in the best top shape that you can, and in that way your learning process is going to be simpler, and it's good. You're going to be able to get the most out of your practicing. And tip number 5, and the last one for the day, is always practice with a metronome. The metronome will give you a lot of advantages when you're practicing. One of them is starting at a low speed and embedding this information accurately to the brain and the muscle memory will be the key of succeeding when it comes to techniques where you need speed, sweep picking, fast runs up and down of the neck, all the kind of stuff. The more that you embed it properly at a slower speeds, and that your muscles actually memorize where those notes accurately are being played, the faster that you're going to be able to increase your speed and being accurate and clean at it. So always, as much as possible, practice with a metronome. That's going to increase your opportunities to actually do things right on a timely manner, and speed up sooner than later is going to speed up your learning process. So let's go a quick rundown. Understand and study your strumming hand. How soft your hand is, how strong your hand is. How do you use that with the dynamics? How those dynamics are changing depending on how you strum. Number 2, using your pick tied up as well at the strength of your strumming hand. Check the different materials on your picks. Make sure that you try different materials in combination of how you're analyzing your hand, in combination with tip number 3, which is check your strings. Don't just go with a brand of strings because they're the cheapest. I know that sometimes we're not having enough money to buy a lot of strings and stuff like that, but try different strings, try something that works for you, and always keep in mind that the different type of metals that are used on your strings are going to give you a different tone. It's going to react differently to your guitar, your particular setup. So try different strings and see what works. That's going to help you also start recognizing what is the tone that you like. What do you look for on a guitar? What is it that you drive for? So that's gonna improve your quest for your own tone and your own voice within the guitar. Tip number 4: learn the principles of how to adjust your guitar, your neck, how to tighten up your tuning pegs, how to adjust your pickups. Make sure that your pads are all clean, they're not graspy. Make sure your input plug is always tight and clean and nice. Make sure your cables are clean and nice and that they don't have different noises. All these stuff in the long run are gonna help you improve your guitar technique and your guitar knowledge. The better that you can take care of your guitar and the more that you can realize these different issues that are happening with the guitar, the better you're gonna be able to learn the instrument and learn how to play it. If you got strings that are sticking out the foot out of the neck, it's going to be extremely hard for you to learn the proper way to do your scales accurately and cleanly and neatly. So keep an eye on your instrument. Make sure that it's nice, clean, tight, and that everything is in the way that it's supposed to be. And tip number 5: always use a metronome. Keep the metronome handy. It's not only just for practicing, but it will also help you in the future for speed purposes, and also if you're going to be recording at one point and getting to a studio or with a friends of yours or whatever case it might be, then you're going to be using a click. Being able to learn and practice with a metronome will make that process simpler. It's not the simplest of tasks if you're not used to have work with a metronome and a click to actually go to a recording session and sit down and have that click giving you the time and marking the direction that you need to follow. If you're not used to use a metronome, that can be bothersome for some people. So just always, as much as possible, try to work with a metronome. It will make your life easier in the long run. Okay, so that's all I got for you guys today. If you like these little tips that I'm giving you for the guitar players, give me the thumbs up, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Pancho out.